What's going on, everybody? Welcome into college football now. It is week 4 of the college football playoff rankings, and we are here to break them down, talk about them, going into the final week of the regular season in college football. Pretty upset about that, but there's a lot of things to be excited about in regards to tonight's ranking and the future of the sport getting into the college football playoff. He is Will Ortner. My name is Joey Peterson. We are so happy that you are joining us. Hope you're having a great Thanksgiving week. If you're with family, hope you're enjoying that time. If you're still working like we are, hope you're still grinding. Make sure to get down in that comment section and shout out your favorite team as we're about 28 minutes away from our week 4 college football playoff rankings reveal. Will, anything that you are curious to see tonight or excited to see with the reveal?
I think this is something that I have found more and more fascinating as each week goes on, because originally when I came on here with you, Joey, I said, well, Miami's not going to make the college football playoff. There's just no way that they can put them in with where they were ranked originally, and yet all of a sudden they keep moving forward, and they keep moving forward, and they keep moving forward.
Yeah.
And we're going to have an interesting little discussion if they're a 2-loss team and Notre Dame is a 2-loss team on who gets in, because they have played each other, and the game should matter. Miami won that game. Now, that was week 1. Ever since then, I'd make the argument that Notre Dame has looked like one of the best teams in the country. So do you leave one out? And if you do, you can't leave Miami out. They won the game. But if you don't want to leave them out and you put them both in, because I think Notre Dame deserves to be in, then who gets kicked out? I'm fascinated by what's going on with those.
Yeah, Notre Dame does look like one of the best teams in the country with one of the best players in the country in their running back, Jeremiah Love, who might be in the running to win the Heisman Trophy at the end of this season. Make sure you're shouting out your favorite team down below. If you do, we'll be shouting you guys out on this live show. We got Jeremy Wilson saying CCU. Coastal Carolina?
Oh, now Central
The
Catholic.
Chanticleers. There we go. We got Nick Rickman. He's a Texas Longhorn fan. We got Jack in here shouting out Notre Dame. Timothy shouting out Bama. Johnny Boy giving us a boomer sooner. Jeremy Wilson saying JMU in the top 20.
Probably not.
Mr. Fulton, hello. Today is my big 27th birthday. Happy birthday, my friend.
Shout out.
And go IU Hoosiers, he says. We got UGA in the house, Colorado in the house. The OSU, Ohio State Buckeyes, are being represented here, and they are being represented and have been for the entirety of these college football playoff rankings. They were number 1 4 weeks ago. I've got a really strong feeling they're going to be number 1 tonight. But do you think they deserve to be number 1? Who is the best team in college football? You let me know down below in that comment section. It's hard to answer this question based off of last week because A&M played Samford.
Right.
Ohio State beat a bad and reeling UCLA team without Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, might I add. Is there any difference in this discussion over the last couple of weeks that we've had with these 3 teams?
No. I mean, at this point, we're only going to see any real change in this discussion is if either Texas A&M falls to Texas or what happens once we get to the conference championship games, unless Jack, our producer, his team makes some noise and they do something that, well, frankly, it just kind of becomes commonplace now in Michigan.
Seriously.
And that's come up with an upset over the Ohio State Buckeyes. And as an Oregon guy myself, I think I might be rooting for Michigan this weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be such a fun game. The game will be on Saturday, 11 o'clock Central, noon Eastern time kickoff. It's got massive implications, as it always does. This one's back in Ann Arbor in the Big House. I will say this. Indiana, they're playing Purdue. I feel very, very good about them beating the Boilermakers. When it comes to Ohio State, playing Michigan, A&M playing Texas, which of those 2 games do you think, or which of those 2 teams is most likely to drop their game this weekend?
Well, I think the casual answer, the answer that a lot of Michigan fans would not say would be it's Texas A&M because, well, there's a conversation around Texas having a potential to still work themselves into the college football playoff despite having 3 losses. Well, other than the Florida loss, right? All their losses are good losses. They have a loss to Ohio State. That's a good loss, right? The loss to Georgia. That's a good loss. Those are two college football playoff teams. If they beat Texas A&M, now they have this great win. Maybe they can weasel their way into the whole darn thing. But I think for myself personally, Ohio State hasn't beat Michigan in, 4 years?
Yep.
They haven't been able to get the job done. The last group of seniors that were freshmen through seniors never experienced what it was like to beat the Wolverines. So I think, to me, that's the most fascinating matchup. Can Ryan Day finally get the monkey off his back, so to speak, and get a victory over Michigan? And if you're Sharon Moore or you're a Michigan fan, can the Wolverines find a way to weasel their way into the college football playoff?
Is there a better color and uniform matchup in a rivalry game than that one right there?
No.
It is perfect. It's everything that's great about this sport. Jack, you might know the answer to this. What was the spread of last year's game? Wasn't it somewhere around the 20-point range?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but what I do know is that Michigan was massive underdogs.
Yeah.
Massive.
We'll get stats and info on that, and we'll get you that on the back half or other side of this ad read, because we got to give a big shout out to our great friends over at Prize Picks. It is the holiday season, the best time of the year for sports. You got bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It is all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, pumpkin pie, turkey, ham, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that is Prize Picks. My wife couldn't even name 4 pro teams coming into this season. But then we started playing on Prize Picks, and now every Saturday night and every Friday night, we're breaking down who she's picking for her lineups. It's the most exciting way to watch football. Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. We are, of course, a week removed from the last time they did the college football playoff rankings. Let's throw it back to last Tuesday. They had Arizona State coming in very surprisingly. In fact, I think all 5 of these teams jumped up, maybe except Mizzou, from being unranked to being ranked. Very confusing because it all happened at once, regardless. Arizona State, Tulane, Houston, Missouri, and Illinois, they filled out 25 through 21. And then you jumped into the top 20. There you'll find the Tennessee Volunteers. They're coming off a very impressive win in the Swamp. First time they won there since 2003. You got the Hoos at number 19. I was 3. You got Michigan at 18, Texas 17, Georgia Tech 16. Of course, you had USC in there at 15. Curious to see how far down USC is going to fall after losing that game to Oregon. A little bit more on that in just a little bit. Vanderbilt 14, Miami 13, Utah, BYU, they're at 12 and 11. And then you go Alabama at 10, Notre Dame at 9, Oklahoma 8, Oregon 7, 6 Ole Miss, and into the rest of the red teams in this playoff ranking. Texas Tech, Georgia, A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. That is going to round out your top 5, and that top 3 has not changed one bit, one iota. In the 4 weeks that we've been doing this, I don't think it's going to change tonight. If it did not change after the Texas A&M road win against Missouri and Indiana barely beating Penn State that week, then I don't necessarily think it's going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, in my eyes, I think the committee doesn't really need to touch the top 5 because if they're going to continue to win, well, has anyone really had a win that's good enough to unseed any of them? Now, there will be a conversation around my Oregon Ducks, obviously taking it to USC in a game that kind of harkened back to the old Pac-12 days. A lot of high-scoring action. But don't be fooled. That Oregon defense is fantastic. That USC offense is just one of the better offenses in the nation. Now, I will say this. If there was any reason to place a team in the top 5, it would be that Oregon team. But even I, as a Oregon homer, do not see that happening. I do think you could see Oregon, though, at that 6th spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a very, very impressive win for them over USC. One thing that really impressed me about it is, you say Oregon, USC, Pac-12 matchup, former Pac-12. That game played out like a Big Ten game, in my opinion. Oregon won that football game by running the football and playing really, really physical defense. So very, very impressed with that win. Speaking of defense, Sam's giving me the eye. We got to talk about the Oklahoma Sooners. Hey, he's biased.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk to him.
I wonder why the Oklahoma fan wouldn't like Lincoln Riley. There could be no reason for that to happen.
Speaking of the Oklahoma Sooners, man, I think they're just one of these teams. We need to just all come to the conclusion they're not going to play a pretty game for the rest of the year, but they could win any game they step on the field because of that defense.
You know what they are? They're the team that your friend loves because everyone else hated. That contrarian in your life that's like, actually, real ball knowers know that Oklahoma plays a beautiful brand of football. I'll tell you right now, I've been extremely impressed with this guy at quarterback, John Mateer. Not because that it has been a stellar season, because at the beginning of the year, he was lighting the world on fire. He hurts his finger, hurts his hand, and it's completely changed how he's thrown the football. But as someone who watches a lot of Seahawks football, I watched that same injury completely derail and end Russell Wilson's career. Like, Russell Wilson has not been the same guy since he had a hand injury to his throwing arm. John Mateer in the same year comes back, again, not pretty. It's never going to be, a stellar showing, I think, offensively from this Oklahoma Sooners offense, but at the same time, you know what they do? They freaking win football games. And they win football games because John Mateer is a winner, because Venables and the rest of that defense, they are just nasty, full of dogs, and I don't see why they would lose to an LSU team that is reeling and they're going to get into the playoff.
Yeah, they've got the Tigers at home to round things out, currently 10.5-point favorites in that one. Like you said, their defense has been incredibly impressive. They remind me a lot of Tennessee last year. Really good physical defense.
Yes.
Offense just can't seem to get going, but they're winning games because they continue to turn the football over. They continue to get stops. Make sure to stop what you're doing right now and hit that thumbs up button if you love college football. And if you're watching 15 minutes before the college football playoffs come out, then you are a true sicko, just like we like them here at Chat Sports. If you love the sport just as much as we do, hit that thumbs up button, like today's video. Let's go over to the likes and viewers. We're at 26 likes, 110 viewers. I'm going to bring on our ratio expert producer, Jack. Jack, what do you think about that number right there?
I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, be honest.
It's not great.
Yep.
It's not as disgusting as some of the ones we've seen.
That is fair.
Very true.
I mean, if we get 25 more likes, we're at a 50% like ratio, which is where we want to be. So hit that like button. I also want to say real quick, happy birthday to Ty Man the Buckeye.
Ty Man the Buckeye.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to our guy. He's basically an executive producer at this company. Yeah, he basically, he might as well get royalties. Those should come in the mail for Ty Man the Buckeye. We appreciate him, the support, the love that he always shows us. Happy birthday to you. And if you want to wish Ty Man the Buckeye happy birthday, he texted me earlier today. No, he didn't. That a like on today's video is just as good as a birthday wish. So we need 15 more to get to 50, and that's a good spot to be at to start. The results for this last weekend for some of the top teams around the country. Ohio State sleptwalk through Rutgers. A&M sleptwalk through Samford. Georgia sleptwalk through Charlotte. But, of course, one big one we need to talk about, we've already mentioned Notre Dame a little bit. 70-7 victory over Syracuse. I get it. They don't have their starting quarterback, right? He's been hurt for weeks. But still, 70 points. That's a very impressive day. They were up 21-0 before their offense even got on the field, Will.
That's what I was going to say. 70-7 wasn't the real impressive number. The impressive number was 21-0.
Yeah.
Because the offense hadn't even taken a snap yet. But I also think that there's a lot of conversation around, hey, the BCS is over, so style points don't matter. Not so fast, my friend. They matter for certain teams, and Notre Dame is one of them. I'm not all that surprised that Freeman and the rest of the Fighting Irish were like, hey, let's run this score up.
Yeah, 100%. And what Marcus Freeman has done there over the past couple of years, a little bit of slow starts to each of their last 2
what is
seasons.
that?
And then they just hit their stride somewhere around week 4, and it seems like they're impossible to stop until the very end of this season. They were a team that I did not think was going to make the college football playoff after starting 0-2. Now I'd be shocked if they were left out of it. Of course, they're Notre Dame. They're in a good spot because they're Notre Dame.
Yep.
So that's never going to hurt them, just the fact that they're a blue blood in this sport. But, man, they beat Stanford. They beat them in a big way. They don't have to play a conference championship. They're going to waltz right into the playoff. They do have a player, and, Jack, we can transition into a little bit of Heisman talk, if that's all good, in Jeremiah Love, who I have been incredibly impressed with. Is he your favorite right now to win the Heisman, or is he in your top 3, I should say?
See, unfortunately, I don't know that he's going to be in the top 3 because it does feel like this has turned into a quarterback award. I mean, shoot, when you look at our graphic that we have on the screen, is Ty Simpson a running back, Joey? No. Is Fernando Mendoza a running back, Joey?
No.
No. Is Julian Sand a running back? No. And they're also some of the top guys right now when it comes to the odds. Yes, I think Jeremiah Love you can make the argument, might be a bigger impact player than some of those guys that we have on the screen right now. But for whatever reason, the love is always going to go, unfortunately, not to Jeremiah, but to more of the quarterbacks in these types of voting situations. It's the same thing for the MVP. It's frustrating.
Yeah, and I think another guy that could be in this list, give you a hint. Initials are DP. Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia. We'll discuss him a little bit more and Vanderbilt coming up in just a little bit. But let me know who you think the Heisman frontrunner is. We got Ty Man saying Julian saying. No surprises there.
Right.
James thinks it's somebody else. The Bright Wolf thinks it's Gunnar Stockton. Impossible. Eric Simmons says FM for Fernando Mendoza. If I had to guess right now, I just think it's going to be Mendoza just because of the big plays he made this season. Obviously he had that Heisman moment against Penn State in the back of the end zone catching that ball. But who knows, man? We got one more week left of college football to really see who's going to come out with this thing.
Well, that leads me to this question, too, then, because, I've said and given my piece that I think it's going to be a quarterback. You think it's going to be Mendoza. Does that Big Ten championship game, if it does end up being Ohio State and Indiana, turn into winner also gets the Heisman Trophy? Because it's not often that we find a matchup where we see two Heisman hopefuls going toe-to-toe. Why not just give it to the guy who gets the big win in the big game?
Yeah, I think that could be an interesting way to look at it. I just think, even if Indiana loses and Fernando Mendoza plays a phenomenal game,
right?
I think it's going to be hard to keep that trophy away from a guy we've talked about who I'm like, hell, why is he not getting a little bit more buzz? Is Marcel Reed. I think that at this point, this is such a big media award, and you got to have the media's backing and things of that nature. They're the ones, in fact, who vote on this award. I think it's too far gone for Marcel Reed, even though I think he's playing just as good as all of those other guys. But he'll be back in college next year. I would be absolutely shocked if Marcel Reed isn't one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy going into next season. I think he'll be the very top of that list. What should be at the top of your list is us right here at Chat Sports. We're the best place to go, whether you love the NBA, the NFL, college football. It's all right here. It is your one-stop shop for everything you could need. College football content, I'm not going to lie, in past has slacked a little bit. But we as a company have said, you know what? We're going to dial it up a little bit. We are covering the coaching searches like no other. We got daily, weekly videos on Florida, Ole Miss situation, LSU, Penn State, Arkansas. This is the best place to be. I cannot say that more. Make sure you subscribe. If we get a lot today, maybe we can get to 423,000, but hey, I'd be happy with 422,800 by the end of today's stream. Let's get into our projected college football rankings. SMU at 25, North Texas at 24, Arizona State 23, Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh at 22 and 21. Very impressive win for the Panthers this past weekend, taking down Brent Key and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Real quick on North Texas, because we're actually going to talk about this a little bit later.
I have a question about it. I do.
Any shocks about Eric Morris not leaving but going to Oklahoma State today? That was a big news item.
It was a gigantic news item, and not just because I am a honorary graduate of North Texas because I've gone to 2 games, and there's a lot of North Texas grads in the office, but kind of thought that he could have gotten a little bit better of a job.
Yeah.
Not here to poke holes at Oklahoma State and everything that they've got going on over there, but North Texas, this is the first time they've been ranked in years. I get the updates from the athletic department in my email consistently, and it felt like Morris had done enough to earn not an Oklahoma State job, but more so maybe a job in the SEC, maybe a job at, in Arkansas or something of that nature. It felt like if he waits a little bit, he could strike while the iron is hot. The other question that I have for North Texas, and Joey, this is kind of where I go back over to you. Well, he's going to be gone, but he is going to coach the rest of the year. Does that affect them as the G5 team? Let's say they come in and they beat Tulane. Do you now put in JMU instead of North Texas? Because it felt like whoever won the American was going to get that spot.
I don't think so. I think you just would put whoever wins the American in that sense. It obviously is going to make things a little bit more interesting if Tulane ends up winning that game. Yeah. But, hey, I'm here for all the chaos that we can get. Moving on to Tulane, speaking of them, they come in at number 20 in my projected rankings. USC, I've got them falling down to 19. Tennessee up to 18. Virginia, Michigan at 16, like we talked about earlier, with a big chance to make things real interesting this weekend. Texas at 15. Vanderbilt at 14. Miami at 13. 12, 11, unchanged. Utah and BYU. Alabama at 10. Notre Dame at 9. Oklahoma 8. Oregon 7, jumping up. And then the Ole Miss Rebels at number 6. Top 5 is going to remain unchanged. Texas Tech, Georgia, Texas A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. I want to jump back briefly to our friends in Nashville, the Vanderbilt Commodores.
My friends. I don't know if they're not your friends. Let's be honest. Friend is real loose term for you when you're talking about Vandy.
That is very, very fair. 9-2 so far this season. It's one of those situations where it seems like if they win this upcoming weekend in Knoxville, in Neyland Stadium, they'll most likely be in the college football playoff. Do you see a scenario where they win that game and they're not in it?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you right now. I feel like Vandy's on the outside looking in, and I don't feel like it's necessarily fair to them. And it's not because of who they've lost to, but it's really because of the schedule that's been laid out in front of them. Let's say that they do go in and put up this score and end up beating Tennessee this week. I don't know if Tennessee is a good enough victory to get them in. Not because I think your Volunteers aren't too good, but because it would be really their first-ranked win. Look at the key wins that Vanderbilt has right now. South Carolina, ass. LSU, ass. Mizzou, ass. There's a chance that all 3 of those schools are looking for new coaches, right?
Yep.
And your key losses are to the 2 good teams that you played on your schedule, and you can probably use good loosely around Texas. I would love to see Vanderbilt in. Everyone knows I have a great friend named Vanderbilt Zach, and it would bring him nothing but joy in his life if Vanderbilt finally made it in. But I think that they need some help whether they win this game, and if they lose, they're definitely not getting it.
Yeah, I think 2 things can be true at once. Number 1, if their name was Texas with this exact same resume, they would be in the playoff.
100%.
But that can be true, and also it could be true to say they don't necessarily deserve, with this resume, to be in the college football playoff. Both things can be true at once, ladies and gentlemen. Vanderbilt has done some awesome things this season. Diego Pavia, he's been a hell of a player, even though he's a very polarizing figure in this sport. Obviously, a win on the road in Neyland Stadium would do wonders, but it just feels like things are a little bit too crowded at the top. They could have used some teams to lose in front of them.
Agreed.
Could have used another Miami loss. Could have used, another loss from Notre Dame or a team like that. But they just haven't won enough good games. Yeah. Now, you can only play who's on your schedule, but the good teams you've played on your schedule, you have not beaten. Right. So you got to just kind of say and take it for what it is. But put it over to you guys. Do you think Vanderbilt is a playoff team? Give me a yes or give me a no down below in the comment section. John already getting ahead of things, saying Vandy is not a college football playoff team. Jeremy, Vanderbilt is this year's South Carolina. Well, especially, I get what you're saying, but I also push back a little bit because South Carolina last year,
they beat some good teams.
and they rattled off like 5 wins at the end of that
Right.
season.
Right.
So I get what you're saying, but a little bit different. We're getting a lot of no's, Will.
Yes, we're getting a lot of no's right now. Now, James did say yes. I would like to point this out as well, though. And to be fair to Vandy, those losses that they have are close losses. They're not getting blown out by Alabama. That was a back-and-forth game for the most part. The game against Texas, it didn't go your way. But again, it was back and forth.
Yeah, but 34-10 going into the fourth quarter.
That is very, very
21
true.
points in the fourth quarter, and
Hey.
with very soft coverage.
Hey.
I'm just gonna say.
Hey, well, you are known for being the number one Vanderbilt fan here at Chatsport. Oh, wait, no, you're Tennessee. That's right.
I will be in the building this weekend.
The other Tennessee. Are you really?
I will be in Neyland Stadium.
Are you going to be loud and proud? Should it be a match-off between you and Diego Pavia's mom for king of the fan sections?
I'm in, man. I am in. I would run absolute circles around her. Unfortunately, I just don't think I'm going to get as much airtime as she will, but we'll see.
Well, who knows? Maybe Theo Vaughn will go on a date with you.
I mean,
might be awkward for your wife, but who knows?
Yeah, we'll see what she has to say about it. A lot of no's. Nick still chiming in. Troy chiming in down below as well. 12 minutes from live since Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia, Oregon Tech, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Bama, Notre Dame, BYU, James Madison. He's putting the Dukes in that last spot. If you had a guess for a G5 team right now, which G5 team would you say?
I'm still going to say it's the American. I'm very interested to see how North Texas responds to the news today because, hey, even if you know that your coach is leaving, if they're going to allow Morris to coach the rest of the season, maybe there's some buy-in from the guys of, hey, it's, the last dance. It's the final ride. Let's go get the most out of ourselves and get the most out of what we can with this season. I mean, everything still is in front of that North Texas team. I'm a little bit biased, obviously being to some games, but we've also seen a Tulane team, while they've been in some close games with some good teams, they've also had some duds and some stinkers as well. JMU, they beat my Washington State Cougars, but they didn't look all that good doing it, and the schedule doesn't look all that great. So I think I'm going to lean towards the American, and I am going to lean towards the North Texas, at least for now.
We got an awesome question for you guys watching and tuning in with us. Who do you think is the best one-loss team? Is it Texas Tech, Georgia, Oregon, or Ole Miss? You let me know down below in the comment section. Some representation from the SEC, representation from the Big 10, Big 12. Obviously, Georgia, Ole Miss, they've played each other. Georgia won that matchup. When you look at this list, Will, who do you feel like is the best one-loss team?
That's the Oregon Ducks. I think that they faced an Indiana team at full strength, at full health. And this Oregon team, while there might be some struggles that they've had, Iowa, right? That's because they weren't healthy. Right now, they just beat the you-know-what out of USC, and it's a better USC team than I think most people give them credit for without their number 1 wide receiver and without their number 2 wide receiver. And right now, I don't even know who's playing in the secondary for that team. They're all beat up. Well, just imagine if they can get healthy because there's a lot of rumors, there's a lot of news. Hey, some of these guys might be coming back if they just get an extra week or 2. There's even talk of possibly Evan Stewart coming back, right? A guy that you haven't had the entire season. So I do think a fully healthy Oregon is the best one-loss team that we have on that list, but I'm a little bit biased.
I'm going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart said it himself, we're hard to kill, and they are. They've played in a lot of close one-score games, and nobody's really been able to take them down except Alabama. And obviously, Alabama's a really good football team. And I just feel like they're hitting their stride right now at a really, really good time. I know we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, maybe even last week, but Gunnar Stockton reminds me a lot of Jalen Hurts from about half a decade ago, of where he's just a winner. He plays well in the big moments, makes the big throws, can use his legs when he needs to, and he leads them to lots of victories. Make sure, if you guys have not yet, hit that subscribe button. 369 nice people watching. We are 30 subscribers away from 422,800 subs. We just need 30 people watching out of the almost 400 to subscribe to the channel. Hit that big red sub button. It's free. It's easy to do, and it also locks you in for daily coverage right here at Chat Sports for college football, NBA, NFL. We are waiting for the end of the Seton Hall USC game. which seems to be, taking their sweet time. There's 11 minutes left in that basketball game at the Maui Invitational. I'm down. Are they planning on going, just doing it at 6, or are they wait until the end of this game?
Well, it's 6 right now, so they're going to do it at the end of the game, I would assume.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So make sure you guys keep hitting that subscribe button. 26 subs away. Seahawk fans saying this stupid game stole us 12 minutes. Tim saying, I would say Texas Tech is the best one-loss team. Georgia 2, BYU 3, Ole Miss 4. I'm really excited for BYU, Texas Tech, eventually in that conference championship game, most likely in Arlington.
See, I still feel like that one isn't going to be quite as good of a matchup to me as far as the conference championship games go, because we've seen this matchup, and honestly, I felt like Texas Tech beat them by as little as they could have.
Yes,
right?
I totally agree.
There was never a moment in that game where I went, wow, BYU, maybe they can get this one done. And because this conference game obviously isn't going to be in Provo at night, I don't know if there's going to be any special powers that are going to come to the BYU Cougars and help them get that victory. So I think I've already seen that movie. The movie that I want to see, that I'm ultimately fascinated by, are the two heavyweights. Because if Ohio State can exercise their demons and they can beat Michigan, Indiana, I don't know how they're going to do it. But if they can find a way to beat those Purdue Boilermakers, now you have what I believe are the best two teams in the country going head-to-head, and I'm going to get to see it before we even get to the playoff, where I can see it potentially again. That's going to get me off my seat and watch the game standing up just like we are right now.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting, way to round out the rest of this regular season. The SEC is kind of up in the air as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if A&M wins, they lock in their chance to go to the SEC title game. If Georgia wins, they are in the SEC title game as well. But if Georgia loses to Georgia Tech and then Alabama wins, then it'll be Alabama against A&M in that SEC title game. Regardless, I would love to see A&M in that thing. I cannot wait to see them play, some really big games. They haven't had an easy schedule, but A&M's schedule has not been, unbelievable.
Right.
That game against LSU, the game against Mizzou, both of those seem bigger at the moment than they are right now. Notre Dame, that was a great win on the road. But Notre Dame, at that point in the season, week 2, it's a very different squad than they are right now.
The defense was struggling still at that point, and, you can make the argument that if the holder just does his job, does his 111th, you're in an overtime game, and who knows where that game ends up, right? But at this moment right now, I think that best case scenario for this Aggies team, I think they keep winning because I think it just makes the storylines more fun. Finally, battered Aggie syndrome is done.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I have my one of my best friends growing up, big Aggie, named Kyle, after Kyle Field, texted me this week. He would rather beat Texas and lose in the SEC championship game than lose to Texas and win in the SEC championship game. So this game, this weekend, to Aggie fans means pretty much everything. Is there a chance of the best team in the country, do you think? What would you do if Ohio State comes out and they beat Indiana close, but A&M just smokes Georgia? Would you say A&M's the best team in the country?
No, because I think that we have seen that these Georgia teams are not what Georgia teams of the past were. They're not as deep. That's something that Kirby Smart still talks about. Hey, they might have the top-end talent the exact same that they've had in the past, but they don't have that third, fourth string guy that are just utter, 5 stars beasts that they would have had 5-10 years ago. I think that Ohio State and Indiana right now, with what they've shown on the field, those are the best two teams in the country. So whoever wins that one, to me, would be the top dog until they finally get knocked off. Also, shout out to Seahawk fan. Glad to see you in the comments.
Do you want to run our cut? Yeah, I'm in.
There's going to be 2 commercial timeouts. I'd love it.
Perfect. That's good to me. All right, make sure you guys don't go anywhere. There's about 9.5 minutes left in this basketball game. USC, for all the USC and Seton Hall fans watching. USC's up now 6 over Seton Hall. The playoff rankings will be on after this game is over, but we still probably got somewhere around 20, 25 minutes left in that one. We're going to go ahead and get into a little bit of head coaching talk, okay? So stick around, because coming up on the show, we're going to predict where the top 5 jobs will go at their head coach vacancies over the next week or so, because as the regular season ends, we're expected to see these coaches be hired very, very soon. Yes, Jack? Great. Reword that if you don't mind.
I'm not gonna lie, that is a copy paste issue.
Yeah, that's on me. We got microphone genius down below in the chat. The Kang saying Bull. Christopher thinks Ohio State's the best team.
Ooh, Jeremy has
Armand
an interesting one down below.
thinks-
Dabo Sweeney for Florida.
Ooh, I don't know if there's been some buzz about that. The prediction we have for the Florida job is a little bit more, some things we've been hearing recently. But Dabo could want to walk away from Clemson.
It kind of feels
like it's getting a little bit hotter up there in South Carolina.
It's the toxic couple that always fights at dinner.
Yep.
That's what it is right now. They there was some success early on. Everyone really liked each other. They're both pretty hot. And then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, man, they just don't get along. It feels like there's a separation coming soon.
Totally agree. Jack, are we ready to roll? All right, let's get it. Let's predict the 5 best jobs where they're going to go at head coach over the next week or two. Coming at you right now. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into College Football Now. My name is Joey Peterson. That is Will Ortner. We are heading into the final week in the regular season of college football. What that means, we got the college football playoff coming up very, very soon. We got a lot of great games this weekend, but it also means that when this regular season is over, you're going to see a lot of these jobs start getting filled. So on today's show, we're going to predict who will be hired for the top 5 jobs available right now in college football. But speaking of rivalry weekend, do you want your team to win against their biggest rival? If you do, like the video. If you're a Michigan fan, you want them to beat the Buckeyes, hit that thumbs up button. If you are a Tennessee fan, you want them to beat Vanderbilt, boom, hit that thumbs up button down below, and let's start predicting some head coach vacancies as I bring in Will Ortner. Lane Kiffin to LSU. That's what we're going to go with for that opening job.
That feels fair. Right now, there's a ton of smoke around the Lane Kiffin to LSU fire. Ole Miss obviously threw out an ultimatum, and everyone knows at the minute that you fire out an ultimatum that your relationship is doing fantastic. So, of course, it does feel like if Lane Kiffin is going to go anywhere, it would be somewhere down south. He's comfortable down south, and LSU seems like the perfect spot.
Yeah, over the weekend, Pete Thamel on College Game Day reported that the people closest to Lane Kiffin say they genuinely have no idea what he is going to do. The main competition for Ole Miss retaining Kiffin appears to be LSU right now. Florida has cast a wide search. They talked to multiple candidates face-to-face. LSU is focused solely on Kiffin. Florida is certainly still in the mix, but right now it appears that LSU and Ole Miss is the decision that Kiffin is facing. So just like Pete Thamel said, right now, LSU is putting every single one of their purple and gold eggs into the Lane Kiffin basket. Florida's taking a little bit of a safer approach, and they're saying, hey, look, we would love Lane Kiffin. Whatever they offer you, we're most likely going to offer you as well. We're going to be a little bit safer. We're going to interview some other guys, and we're going to see where else we could possibly go with this search. Speaking of that Florida job, right now, I feel like the top name that's been circulating, because it feels like they're a little bit out of the running for Lane Kiffin. We're going to get to that in just a couple of seconds. But before that, where do you think Kiffin will coach in 2026? If you think it's Ole Miss, type O. You think it's Florida, give me an F down below. And if you think it's LSU, type L in the comment section. Eli Drinkwitz, that's where we're going with the Gators. Do you think there is a chance, and a good chance, that the Mizzou man goes down to Gainesville?
Yeah, I think there's an opportunity here because Drinkwitz would fill that role that Florida already wants. They want the success that Drinkwitz has had over at Missouri. He's clearly shown that he can go out and win multiple 10-win seasons, as well as winning a big bowl game. Now, obviously this year, I think there's a little bit of disappointment from Drinkwitz, at least on what he thought this team could be, especially with Drew Papirula and how well he's been playing at that quarterback spot. But I do think that Florida they aren't going to hire someone that hasn't had the proven success that, say, like a Jed Fish might, right? Like UW's been good, but they haven't been as good as what a Florida would want in their next head coach. Drinkwitz fits that mold, and he knows how to recruit the South.
Yeah, the thing about Eli Drinkwitz is inside the Florida program, like the guys who are running that university, the guys who are running the Florida football team, they're very, very high on Drinkwitz. However, they know the fans don't necessarily want that, and they are a little bit afraid of getting that backlash. So we'll see where they go with that. Interesting to keep a watch out on, though. I saw someone say this a couple weeks ago, that all Florida wants is a reincarnation of Steve Spurrier. They want an offensive mind, a guy that's going to go out there and score points, and a guy that's going to go out there and talk shit. Well, guess what? Eli Drinkwitz kind of fits that mold. Up next, let's go to the Big Ten. I think Bob Chesney is going to be Penn State's next head coach. I think they're going to just replicate what Indiana did and say, hey, there's a guy at JMU. He's having a lot of success. Let's take a shot with him there.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating hire because what's the big word around Penn State right now is that the big-time donors, the big-time boosters, they want a big, sexy hire. They want to go and steal someone else. That's why they reached out to Indiana for Cignetti. That's why they reached out to Nebraska for a guy like Matt Rule. Would they be willing to kind of bite their tongue a little bit here, bite their lip a little bit, and take a Bob Chesney from a JMU who has a proven track record of being a winner, but is not going to be a big, sexy hire. He's not going to be someone that jumps off the page to the casual fan. Now, I think that going out and getting Chesney is a home run smash hire with everything that he's been able to do at JMU over the past couple of seasons, but is it something that they can sell the donors on?
Yeah, I think it'd be a great hire. There's a little bit of smoke around Terry Smith. He's their interim head coach right now. I think Brian Hartline is also another name to look at, another name to mention. But right now, it just seems like there's a lot of momentum for Chesney to go to Penn State from JMU, for them to take that shot, take that risk, and I do not think it would be a bad one at all. We talked about 3 job openings already. We're about to talk about 2 more. But before we round this thing out, what do you think is the best available job right now? Is it LSU, Florida? Maybe you think it's Penn State. Maybe you think it's Auburn. Let me know down below in that comment section. While you're down in the comment section, you will find a link to our awesome sponsor, our great friends over at Prize Picks. It is the holiday season. It's the best time of the year for sports. You got bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. While you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, which game to watch, there's one place where it feels good to be right, and that's Prize Picks. Prize Picks now is early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. One of the things I love about Prize Picks is it's so easy to use. My wife couldn't even name 4 college football teams going into this season. And then we started playing on our Prize Picks. And now, every Friday night, we're breaking down who she's picking for her lineup. It's the most exciting way to watch football. On Prize Picks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. The link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. This one out of the 5 we're going to talk about seems like the most done deal. It seems like the one that's, has the highest % chance of happening, and that is John Sumrall to Auburn.
I think this is a home run hire for Auburn. Frankly, I think if LSU didn't get Kiffin and they were able to somehow come in and take Sumrall from Auburn, it would be a home run hire for them as well. He's found a way to have success. He is from the South. He wins in the South, and he's put a Tulane program that, frankly, I had not heard of before he really came in, and he's turned them into a team that, look, if they win out the rest of the way, they're going to go to the college football playoffs. So not only are you getting someone who can recruit the area, who can get the most out of his talent, but he understands how to build a culture, how to build a winner. That's exactly the type of coach that John Sumrall is. He is a great leader of men. I think he'd do a great job at Auburn.
Yeah, and the thing about John Summerall is he's been a hot name for a while. I mean,
Yeah.
he was a hot name when he was at Troy. I remember when Mississippi State needed a new coach after they moved on from Zach Arnett. John Summerall was a name that kept popping up, right? He's been a hot name for a while. Somebody is going to take a risk on him, and I think that's going to be Auburn. The funny thing about Auburn's coaching search is it's been very, very quiet. And a lot of people might think, okay, quiet coaching search, that means A, they're not doing something, or B, they're not going to make any kind of a splash or make a good hire. In my opinion, I think it means the opposite. I think it means they're doing their due diligence and just doing a good thing at keeping things tight and in the building. Up next is the Arkansas Razorbacks, and I'm going to give a little transparency. When we originally scripted this video, we had a different name. That was Eric Morris, but of course, we all know yesterday he got, he's the new head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So we're going to pivot. We're going to go Alex Golesh here.
Yeah, I think that this would be a great hire for Arkansas.
I do as
Everyone
well.
knows that they are a sleeping giant. And at South Florida, look at the big wins that Golesh was able to put under his resume. I mean, shoot, you've gone out and you've beat a Florida team that you should not have been able to beat. I understand that you kind of faltered, right? You weren't able to beat Navy. You took it to North Texas, though. You ran the table for the most part when it came to big games that you had the ability to win because you had the better talent. At Arkansas, you're not always going to have the better talent, but as a head coach that Golesh is, you're going to get a person who has recruited the area. Again, he recruits the South. And can he get the most out of donors? Yes, I think he can. And everybody knows Arkansas's got a lot of cash. It's just about getting it out of your boosters' pocketbooks. He might be the type of hire that can do that.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about Alex Golesh in this kind of coach hiring season that we've been in for a very, very long time. I think he would be an absolute slam dunk. Now, I'm somebody who's, been in close quarters with Alex Golesh when I worked for the Tennessee football team back in 2021. He was the offensive coordinator. He was a big reason that that team had so much success in their 2022 season and how they almost made the 4-team college football playoff. He made Hendon Hooker look like one of the best quarterbacks in college football. He's a big reason for that. He coaches with intensity. These guys would run through a brick wall for him. He's going to be a phenomenal recruiter. And I truly believe any school that takes a chance on Alex Golesh is going to take a really, really good chance, okay? They're going to take a great swing. I think he's going to be a great coach. Obviously, same kind of coaching tree as Josh Heupel. He's going to score a lot of points. They're going to play up tempo. They're going to play fast, and they're going to win a lot of football games at that. Predict the head coach hirings in the comments section down below. We just did it. I want you guys to do it as well. You can agree. You can disagree. That's what the comment section is for. That's what they're telling me, at least. Right. Let me know your answers down below in the comment section. Appreciate you guys for being here. He's Will Ortner. My name is Joey Peterson. You guys have been watching college football now. Reminder, as all these hirings come in, we're going to have you covered right here on the channel. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a moment. All righty. There we go, talking a little bit of head coach vacancies. And make sure you guys sound off in the comment sections. We've got almost 450 people watching. We got people filing in and out all over the place. Who is your favorite team? Let us know down below in the comment section. Matthew, giving a shout out to Georgia. John, giving a shout out to the South Carolina Gamecocks. Dirty in here saying the Dogs. Seahawk fan, Clemson. Ooh, Jonathan asked, do you think Jimbo will go anywhere? Interesting question.
If someone signs Jimbo or hires him to be their head coach, I would seriously look at firing that AD.
I've got an interesting opinion when it comes to Jimbo Fisher. My opinion on Jimbo Fisher is if you look him in the eyes and put it in his contract, you are not going to call plays, I would think about it. Just let him recruit. Let him be like the GM of the team. I think that could be something that is interesting. Shout out to my main man, Lord Buddy Bear. Coming in with a $5 super chat. Says, I just want to wish happy birthday to the legendary bot blocker and loyal chat sports supporter, Ty Man the Buckeye. Showing him some love with that $5 super chat. We appreciate Lord Buddy Bear. We appreciate our main man, Ty Man. Also, Lord Buddy Bear, the jersey came in for Ravens. Make sure you watch Thursday Night Football. I'm going to have it on. Your name's on the back of it. Hope to see you there. We got Eric saying, Let's see. Joe, you're also a guy who seems to think the Georgia Tech game for Georgia somehow affects their SEC standings. Well, Eric, yeah, that's your opinion. All righty. Keep letting us know your favorite college football teams. Benson, my main man, giving the Tennessee Volunteers a shout-out. Christopher, shouting out Texas. Gray for Michigan. And then we got OU for Prestidigitation. Here's our projected college football playoff rankings. SMU at 25. North Texas at 24. Arizona State 23. Georgia Tech 22. Pittsburgh at 21. Tulane, we got in there at 20. 19, USC. Would you be surprised to see USC fall into the 20s, or you think they're still going to be in the teens?
Well, I'm always going to assume with some East Coast bias that the West Coast teams are going to fall back a little bit further than they frankly should, or that their East Coast counterparts normally would. Now, I will say this with USC, I feel like most people who watch that game, and I think most voters did watch that game, they understand that USC team, they were about as close with Oregon as they could. A couple of turnovers don't end up happening from Jordan Maiava, and maybe that's a game where it's only a one-score game, right? I thought USC, frankly, played pretty darn close to what you would need to do to play with a team like that Oregon squad that Lanning has in Eugene. I think they should stay in the teens. I don't know that they will.
We got two teams that could play spoiler this weekend for a couple of teams in the top 15 that want to make and be really big in the college football playoff. Of course, I'm talking about Tennessee at 18, Michigan at 16. Now, they're not going to ruin Ohio State's chances, but they could make things very, very interesting. Right now, Ohio State, 10.5-point road favorites, when Michigan's rattled off 4 straight wins against the Buckeyes, and they're playing at the Big House.
Yeah, I think you're in a situation here where does Ohio State finally right the wrongs of their past, or is this a Michigan team that weasels their way into the college football playoff? Because right now, I don't see how the committee keeps out a 10-2 Michigan team that beats Ohio State, even if it's at home, even though their key wins are, they're not really there. Washington is probably the best team that you have, although that Nebraska team was a good squad because that's before Raiola gets hurt, right? But when you look at their big games on the loss side, that USC team's going to have 3 losses. That Oklahoma team, yeah, they're going to get into the playoff, but they're right on the outside, like barely sneaking in. I don't think, though, that a 10-2 Michigan team gets kept out. That's the only way also that the Big Ten gets the 4th team in.
Yeah, 100%. They've got a chance to do something that they've done for the past 4 seasons. And I feel like every single year everybody said, okay, this is the year that Michigan's not going to beat Ohio State, that Ryan Day's going to get that monkey off of his back. We said that before. We'll see this weekend, of course, the game kicking off at 11 o'clock on Saturday. Texas, Vanderbilt, Miami, Utah, BYU, they round out the top 15 through 11. Texas, we've talked about from time to time already tonight. If they beat the Aggies in College Station, do you feel like they're a shoo-in for the college football playoff? Or is there still a world where if they beat Texas A&M, they're left out?
It's kind of the same deal with Michigan. Now, if the committee has both Michigan and Texas win, watch out. Have a good time picking which one of those teams you don't allow in. I think it would be Texas, but crazier things have happened before. I think when you look at the key wins that this Texas team has, yeah, the Vandy win is good. The Oklahoma win is good, but are they as good of wins as you have seen from some of the other squads that are going to be right on that bubble for the college football playoff? But most importantly, I think that loss right there, that loss to Florida, that's what's going to keep you out.
Yeah, looking at that Florida squad right now, it's actually crazy to me that Texas went and lost that game in Gainesville. But I also think that is a testament to, Texas has had kind of an up and down season. A&M, undefeated, look to stay undefeated, look to make some pretty big motion coming up in the SEC Championship if they can get past Texas. Alabama at number 10. Number 9, you got Notre Dame, 8 Oklahoma, 7 Oregon, 6 Ole Miss. Will, does it feel like Alabama, after they lost that game to Oklahoma, people are kind of forgetting that they're still a team that could go in and win pretty much any game they play this season?
Yeah, and it also feels like there's a little bit of disrespect on picking and choosing what key losses you view as bad losses. Like, again, Alabama lost to Florida State. Hindsight being 2020, pretty bad loss.
Yep.
Remember
really
at the time,
bad loss.
But remember, at the time, we looked at that Florida State team as one of the better teams in the country, and then the wheels just fell off for them. I also think it's important to mention that you lost to an Oklahoma team that you had more yards than, that you had more first downs than, you had more time of possession. If you just looked at the stats in that game, you'd say, oh, Alabama beat Oklahoma. But Oklahoma wins gross games.
Yep.
Oklahoma wins games that they shouldn't for whatever reason. They just seem to have that lucky Rapids foot this year. So, yes, I think that Alabama is being disrespected, and I also wonder to a degree if the committee starts, again, trying to right that Notre Dame wrong, and they let Alabama go ahead of Notre Dame, and they get Notre Dame and Miami ever so closer.
Yeah, Oklahoma won back-to-back games on the road in Alabama, in Tennessee, while getting outgained yards-wise, time of possession, first downs, pretty much everything you can think of. Alabama-Auburn, going to be a really, really fun game this weekend. Top 5, you got Texas Tech, Georgia, A&M, Indiana, Ohio State. I know Georgia Tech just lost this last weekend to Pitt, and Pitt pretty much dominated that football game. What are your thoughts on that ball game between Georgia and Georgia Tech this weekend? Like, would you be surprised if Tech was able to pull it out? I know it was a great game a year ago.
No, I'm never going to doubt anything that's going on at Georgia Tech. It's a mean, rough and tumble group. It's a group that knows that they are not going to be the most athletic. So what do they control? Their attitude, their toughness, their grit, and they never, ever say die. Don't be shocked if that one's a lot closer than most people think.
Yeah, it's a quintessential Brent Key team right there. I mean, him and Haynes King, they just seem like a match made in heaven, those two, quarterback and head coach. We've asked this a couple times today, but we got 511 people watching, probably a lot of new people. Who do you think is the best team in college football? Is it Ohio State? Is it Indiana? Is it Texas A&M? Y'all let me know in the comment section down below. Real quick, Jeremiah Smith did not play this past weekend for Ohio State. How big of a worry is that injury going forward, in your opinion, for the Buckeyes?
I think anytime that you don't have your best player, or worst case scenario, second best player, that's always going to be a worry. That's always going to be a problem as a fan of a team that is without their best wide receiver. Right now in the Oregon Ducks, you can notice a little difference in the offense, not because the other players aren't trying to pick up the slack. It's just, it's more difficult when you don't have your number one, because your number one is going to draw more defensive pressure, more of a defensive focus. Well, now if the two becomes the one and he gets more focus on himself, you see some of that production go down from time to time. Not everyone can rise to the occasion. I'll be very interested to see how Ohio State tries to work around some of the Smith absence.
Playlist King going with Texas A&M. Matthew going with Ohio State. Playlist saying Ohio State played nobody. I don't think he's wrong there. They've, outside of Texas, have had a little bit of an easier schedule. Obviously, they got a ranked matchup this weekend against the Michigan Wolverines. We appreciate all 500 people that are hanging out with us. If you're stopping by, if you're hanging out, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and like today's video. We got 94 likes, 470 watching. I need that number to get to 150, and I need that number to get to 150 as quickly as possible. If you love this sport, if you love what we do here at Chat Sports, if you love your team, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and like today's video. Already getting that up to 96. We need just, 54 more people to man up, like the video, try to get us to 150, already crossing triple digits. Keeping you updated. We are going to get to the college football playoff rankings as soon as the game, Seton Hall, USC, wraps up. Right now, minute 13 left in that one. And knowing college basketball, it's about to be foul time. Probably around 5 more minutes left in that ball game, or 5:44, like it says down below. So, rankings coming soon for you. Once they're here, we're going to get you them as quickly as possible. Dirty says, soon as you add Georgia to the poll. Yes. Ohio State, Alabama, and Ole Miss all lose this week. Okay. Ole Miss will be taking on Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. Do you see an Ole Miss loss in the cards this weekend?
I'm fascinated to see how that team performs, because how many times have we seen this in college football, year after year after year? All of a sudden, some rumors about a coach start swirling.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, some of the top players, they start looking for where they might be going. Their agents, their parents, their family members, their friends are saying, hey, man, you can go make 20 mil or you can go make 80 mil or whatever fake number that those kids all throw at each other. I should go ask Nico Maliava's dad what I could make.
Big Nick.
I should ask him what I could be making, right? But when you go around to some of these schools where a coach could be moving on, the focus isn't on the current season. And then you see some losses happen. And if Ole Miss loses to Mississippi State, that could be a 2-loss team that doesn't get in, especially if your coach ends up leaving.
Yeah, I think a big thing for them is they are coming off of a bye week. That's going to go into their favor a ton. And also Mississippi State, man, they're hit or miss. They've played some really good teams really closely. They've played some really poor teams very poorly. But that's one of those games, man, the Egg Bowl. Speaking from somebody who lived in Starkville, Mississippi, worked for Mississippi State, something can happen at any point in that thing. And so that's going to be, one of those games that I have my eye on, that I'm keeping a lookout on. And so we'll see how that thing shakes out. It will be interesting, though, because Lane Kiffin's supposed to have that answer by the end of the week. That was the ultimatum. After the Egg Bowl, going to make an announcement. That announcement's going to be made very, very soon. It seems probably in the next 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, it does feel like it's kind of or get off the pot right now.
Yep.
So where do you think that Lane Kiffin's going to end up? You think it's Ole Miss? You think it's Florida? Think it's LSU? Other? Go and let us know down below.
If I had to guess right now, I would say LSU. My feelings are 40 LSU, 40 stay at Ole Miss, 20 Florida. That's kind of my pie chart right now.
See, I still think there's a 1% chance that he takes the Oregon State job if the NVIDIA guy decides to get off his butt and starts actually donating. So I guess I would be 39, 40, 20. I think that's where I'm at. And that 40 does, of course, go over to LSU.
I mean, Lane Kiffin at LSU would be a lot of fun. I think something we need to talk about a little bit. Also, speaking and keeping with the Lane Kiffin discussion, dude, there's reports that he is, getting offered $14 million a year. Would you pay Lane Kiffin $14 million a year? Because to me, I talked about it on College Football Now, I think yesterday, that seems like a little bit of an overpay.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of an overpay, but at this point, don't you have to overpay to get a college coach, especially a college coach that is a proven winner? I would also say at this point that we know why he's going to get paid that much, because there's one guy who runs all of college football.
Yep.
And it isn't an athletic director. It isn't a football coach. It isn't a commissioner. It isn't Sankey at, the head of the SEC. There is one man that runs college football, and he makes a ton of money when one coach gets hired and another one gets fired. And that guy, he's drumming up some of the prices.
Yeah, Jimmy Sexton's done some interesting things to the sport. But, hey, he's sleeping on a fat stack of cash every single night, a little bit more than I'm making. So all power to him. Make sure that you guys subscribe to the channel. 422,808 subscribers. This thing is just going up and up and up. The longer we are here, the more content we bring out to you guys, the more reason that you guys got to hit that subscribe button. 565 people watching. I can almost guarantee you 565 people are not subscribed to the channel. It just seems like it's good math, okay? Mm-hmm. It just seems like that's, it's easy to at least say that. There we go. We got another couple of people. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure to subscribe. Daily videos on anything you could want. That is NFL. That's NBA. That's college football. One-stop shop. You got everything you could need right here at College Football Now and at Chat Sports. Speaking of that, we are close, we think,
we hope,
to getting the college football playoff rankings. We told you it's the end of the game, 29 seconds left. Of course, there's a review. There's going to be 7 more reviews. There's also going to be 18 more commercials, 35 more free throws shown. So maybe we'll get to these in the next 45 minutes, but 29 seconds left in this ball game. Seton Hall, 78. USC, 78. Praying for no OT. I agree, Sam. Yeah, I'll start caring about college hoops once college football is over.
I'm going to say, you know who to blame for this?
Smitty.
This is, of course, Tyler Smith's fault. He is already in college basketball mode, and he's rooting on his St. Bonaventure Bonnies against North Carolina. And it's only rational to irrationally blame him for putting us in this situation. 78-78. We need a big bucket here.
We do need a big bucket. I think they're shooting free throws, if I'm not wrong.
No, the ball... They're trying to see if they have to reset the shot clock, so fingers crossed they don't. Hold on, final shot, bang, game winner.
Yeah, let's talk about some awesome matchups for this weekend. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Let's talk about the Iron Bowl, okay? Auburn, they have played a lot of really good teams very closely.
Right.
Vanderbilt, Georgia.
Yep.
Like
Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma. They should have beaten Oklahoma if there weren't for a couple of crazy, terrible, just like you could not even explain the officiating in that ball game. 6.5-point favorites. That's Alabama going into Jordan-Hare. How confident are you? Or what should we, rank this one upset meter 1 to 10?
1 to 10, medium 6.5, 7.
Okay.
I don't know if you're quite to the full 7, but you're getting there. I think what will be interesting to see is how does this Alabama defense handle the young kid over at Auburn, right? They went with the young quarterback instead of going with Jackson Arnold in the last game. I thought he looked pretty fantastic. Now, of course, you were playing an FCS opponent, so how does he stack up against an SEC defense like what they have over at Alabama? I also think it's important to note Kalen DeBoer, that dude is a winner. I understand that there's a lot of people in Alabama that are upset that he is not Nick Saban, but as someone who watched him for multiple years when he was over at UW, that guy finds a way to win. And just because they had an off game, and remember, that off game against Oklahoma, they basically doubled their yardage, had more time of possession, had more first downs. Everything was in their favor except for a couple of bad turnovers and, just not getting into the end zone. I think they're going to take care of business.
Yeah, Deuce Knight got the start. Also the SEC Freshman of the Week. Look, worse Auburn teams have beaten better Alabama teams.
Fair.
And I know it's not always the same. It doesn't always translate from year to year, but definitely something to keep in mind and watch out for Auburn to take down Alabama. The game on Saturday, Michigan against Ohio State at home. Does Michigan have the offense to put up points against Ohio State? Because I think there's legitimately a world where this game ends with Michigan with a big old goose egg on the scoreboard.
Well, I'd make the argument, and I'd ask you this question. Did it matter last year?
No.
Would you say that this Michigan offense is better than last year's Michigan offense?
No, I would not. It's close.
See, I would say it is. I understand that Bryce Underwood hasn't been perfect.
Oh, wait, better? Yes, it is better.
I was going to say.
Sorry.
I was going to say.
Yes, it is substantially better.
I was going to say, I understand that Bryce Underwood hasn't always been the picture of the perfect candidate that everyone thought that he was going to be. At the same time, he can throw the football downfield. Like, this is a Michigan team that feels, and maybe this is an outsider looking in, Jack would know more. Maybe this is a team that might be a year or two out, depending on how the quarterback grows. Because if the quarterback can grow into what we all know and what we've all heard he can be, why couldn't Michigan make a couple college football playoffs? Jack, you'd know more.
We're winning the Natty this year. Go Blue.
Interesting. That is, wow.
I'm biased.
That was a little bit surprising. But no, I agree. Michigan's a team that could definitely win this football game. And just kind of like Auburn and Alabama, they have beaten better Ohio State teams with worse Michigan teams. Mm-hmm. Don't believe me? Go watch the highlights for last year's game. Are you ready for the new playoff rankings? If you are, type those me's down below. We got 25.5 seconds left in this ball game. We got USC up by 2. Seton Hall with the ball. 2 timeouts USC, 0 for Seton Hall. We need the Trojans to get a big stop defensively right here. Yes.
I love the Seton Hall frat bros that are there with their cutoffs. Those are sweet.
We got Callie saying me, Jeremy, Aaron, Hank, Timothy, Camden, Abraham, Elijah, Ezra. Whose ball? It is USC's ball. 13.2 seconds left. What's about to happen, they're going to foul, shoot some free throws. But we are getting very, very close to these rankings. James, Seahawk fan, that bull, Kevin. We got Gaming, Jack, Shelly, Noah, Callie. Appreciate everybody for tuning in and hanging out with us. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button and liking today's video while you're in here. Before we do projected, let's go over last week's playoff rankings because we're about to get some brand new ones. Here were last week's rankings a week ago today. Arizona, Tulane, Houston, Missouri, and Illinois. That was 25 through 21. Tennessee at 20. The Virginia Cavaliers, the Hoos at 19. Michigan 18. Texas 17. Georgia Tech at 16. Then you went USC, Vanderbilt, Miami, Utah, BYU. Man, that 14 and up for the rest of this season is going to be very, very interesting. Was it off the USC guy?
Yes, but I don't know that they can challenge it and review it. There was a penalty or a foul called on the floor.
Oh, they can. That's great.
They cannot. I think Seton Hall has to ask for it.
Okay.
And they cannot because
That's great.
No timeouts.
That's great. Alabama came in at number 10. Notre Dame, number 9. 8, Oklahoma. 7, Oregon. Ole Miss at 6. Texas Tech, Georgia, A&M, Indiana, Ohio State. Jack, could we go back to 6 through 10? I want to ask you this, Will.
Ask away.
Of these teams,
Yes.
6 through 10 on the screen right now, which of those 5 do you think has the best chance to make some waves in the college football playoffs? Say they all make it.
Biased will, West Coast will, it's the Oregon Ducks.
Okay.
If they get 100% healthy, they've got a great quarterback over there in Dante Moore. They've got great receivers, especially if they're able to get to Corian Moore back. Who knows about what's going on with Evan Stewart? The rushing game right now, they have 5 or 6 different guys that they can throw at you. Noah Whittington's kind of leading the pack there, but Davison, the young freshman, has done extremely well this year. Unbiased will, I think it's Notre Dame.
Yep.
They've been here before. They have a great defense. The quarterback is good enough. And you have a coach that knows how to win. Freeman built a strong program there of high school athletes, culture, and then throwing in the right transfers to continue to push this team forward. And frankly, if they don't have a crazy loss to a Texas A&M team, we wouldn't even be questioning if they get it.
Yeah, I think it's Notre Dame or Alabama, in my opinion. Alabama might have the best quarterback in the country in Ty Simpson. Sure. Kalen DeBoer, proven winner. He's been on a national title stage before. He's won a college football playoff game before. I know Marcus Freeman has as well, but I think that would possibly be my pick. Everybody was saying before they lost to Oklahoma that Alabama was like the best team in the country, that they were at least playing like it. So obviously you lose that game to Oklahoma, not like you wanted to, but I still think they're that team that they were going into that game. We got 670 people in here, 153 likes, 3.4 seconds left in that ball game against Seton Hall. We are just mere minutes away from getting you these college football playoff rankings. I appreciate everybody who's stuck with us. We have been live. It was supposed to be a 30-minute build-up. Yeah. It's been an hour. So for all the real ones who've been hanging out with us, appreciate you guys. Make sure you like the video. We need 46 likes, now 45 to get to 200 total. We need to be there by the time this clock hits 1 minute, okay? By the time this clock hits 1 minute, we got to be there, no questions.
Bless you.
See, exactly. I'm getting emotional. Everything's kicking in. I'm just pumped up for these rankings. Hey, real quick, let's get you up to date on all of the changes in the college football playoff. Jack, do we have that? I know we've gone over these over the last couple of weeks, but if you're just tuning in for the first time, there have been some changes in the college football playoff from last year into this year. Second year of the 12-team expanded playoff, seeds 1 through 4. They're not going to the highest-ranked conference champions just like they did last year. Instead, they go to the 4 highest-ranked teams. So whoever the top 4 teams are at the end of this year after conference championship weekend, they're going to be the top 4 seeds. They get a bye. Seeds 5 through 8, they'll play at home in the first round. Of course, one group of 5 team is guaranteed a spot. And, Will, it came out the other day, they're meeting again to determine some other further changes to the college football playoff. I don't think expansion's coming next year, but there will be some adjustments and some tweaks to how this year's being run.
I agree with you that maybe expansion might not be coming next year. Expansion's coming.
Yes, 100%.
We're going to go to 16 teams, which I actually do think might be the perfect amount. I don't think that you should have buys, and I want more games at host stadiums.
I agree.
I want more games at college football environments. I'm tired of, other than maybe the Sugar Bowl and, of course, my Rose Bowl.
Yes, the Rose Bowl.
I'm over the rest of the bowls.
Yep.
I'm done with it. I want it at a college football stadium. I want college students to be at the game. I want them to have cheaper tickets. I want them to be rowdy, to be obnoxious, and I think that's the best environment for the playoff to showcase everything. They do it at the FCS level. They do it at the D2 level. They do it at the D3 level. Why
Yes.
can't you do it at the FBS level?
Sweet culture does not go well with college football, okay?
It just doesn't matter.
I think the more suites in a stadium, the worse the environment's going to be. And
agree.
when they're playing neutral sites, that's all they're filled of. Here are my projected college football rankings. We are mere minutes away from getting it down to it. SMU, North Texas, Arizona State, Georgia Tech, Pitt. Of course, Pitt over Georgia Tech because that big win this past weekend on Friday night. Tulane at 20, USC falling down to number 19, Tennessee going up to 18, of course, still in front of them. Virginia, Michigan, Texas, they're going to be at 15, Vanderbilt 14, Miami, Utah, BYU 13, 12, and 11. Very, very interesting next couple of games for all three of those teams. Of course, Utah not going to make the Big 12 championship. Most likely that's going to be BYU and Texas Tech. Alabama, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Oregon, Ole Miss, they are going to be my 10 through 6. Again, these are just my projected rankings. I'm really, really excited to see what Notre Dame's going to do once they get into the playoff. Similar to last year, rough start, strong finish. Can't wait to see what Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish are going to be able to accomplish. Then Texas Tech, Georgia, A&M, Indiana, Ohio State. I think Texas Tech might be the most interesting team in this top 5 just because of how expensive that roster is. Like, they got a lot of big talent in there.
Yes, they do have a lot of big talent there. But what I would say, and I think it's important to notice as well with what we have here, is any team can win at any point, in any moment in what's going on in the playoff. We saw a team last year that, they were a host, but they were the worst possible spot that program had been in program history. Ohio State. They had just lost to a Michigan team that there was no chance that they could lose to, and yet, hey, they circled the wagons, they got themselves in a good position, and they found a way to go and win. I'd be interested to see if maybe that same thing can happen this year, and thank goodness USC and Seton Hall, that game is finally over.
47 minutes.
Spam those me's in the chat.
47 minutes. Worst sport in the country. Wake me up when it's March. This is November. We're about to get into December. This is time for college football. We've got rivalry weekend in just a few days. We got college football playoff rankings coming up in just a few minutes. This is the best time of the year. It's the best sport of the year. And if you guys are ready for the new playoff rankings, let me know down below by typing those me's. I'll be giving some shout outs. I see Hunter, Brittany, Abraham, Matthew, Jeremy, Lychee, Callie, Kennedy. Oh, Kennedy's in here. Hello, Kennedy. Hope you are safe on your flight flying to Atlanta today. Abraham, James, Tony, Aaron, Jr., Ferris. We got DH guy, Junior Estrada, Abraham Beck, James Strawbridge, Tyman, Edward. We got all of the real ones tuning in, checking in. While you are checking in, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate every single one of you who is hanging out with us today. They are about to reveal the college football playoff rankings. Just a little bit of a reminder, new this year, couple of changes, couple of tweaks. Top 4 seeds, just overall. Don't have to be the highest 4 conference champions. They get buys 5 through 8. They host home games. And then, of course, you got to have that one G5 team in there. All righty, Jack. Are we ready for a little bit of a reset, my friend? All right, let's get into it. Coming at you right now. We are live, and we are finally getting to week 4 of the college football playoff rankings. College basketball is done for the night. We are on to what is more important, of course. I'm talking about college football. Speaking of the playoff, as you know, there have been some changes from last year to this one. Last year was the first year in the 12-team era. Well, they tweaked it a little bit. Second year going into this year, seeds 1 through 4, not going to the highest conference champion, simply the 4 highest ranked teams. I think they saw a little bit of backlash from that last season. Seeds 5 through 8, they'll play a home game, most exciting games, in my opinion. In the first round, of course, one group of 5 team is guaranteed a spot. Will We have 668, almost 700 people rocking with us.
Bang.
Why should they subscribe, my friend?
Why? Because you are going to get the best, in my opinion, college football content on YouTube. We've got coaching search videos out. We've got players hitting the transfer portal. And, of course, every single week during the college football playoff rankings, we have this fantastic live show. We've got content coming out every single day on college football. And, believe it or not, Joey, I'm going to speak this into existence.
Do it.
I think we're doing a fantastic job this year. Maybe there will be even more college football content in the future.
Hey, if we keep crushing, we'll keep doing more. Appreciate you guys for crushing for us. Make sure you subscribe again. Let's make that number dance. Make that ticker go up. Trying to get to 422,900 subscribers by the end of the day. I think that's possible as well. They're about to reveal the rankings to us 25-1. I feel like with Ohio State playing Rutgers, Indiana on a bye, A&M playing Sanford, there's not going to be much change in the top three.
Agreed.
It's probably going to be just as you see it and just as it has been over the last 4 weeks. But who do you think is the best team in college football? Go ahead and let me know down below in the comment section. That Bull is saying the Buckeyes. Callie is saying, oh. Is there a little concern for you, Will, that since week 1, Ohio State really hasn't been challenged? Like, how is that going to affect the team going into this Michigan game and then the Big Ten Championship and then to the college football playoff? Or will that?
I don't know that it necessarily will, and there's a chance that this Ohio State team hasn't been challenged because, well, no one's good enough to offer up a challenge that they've played yet. But I'll tell you right now, this Michigan team, that rivalry always is going to offer up a challenge no matter what we think. After last year, I'll never go into another Ohio State-Michigan game thinking, well, at least one team's going to clearly walk away with it. And then if they do get through Michigan, well, then they're going to face Indiana. And we're going to find out just how good Ohio State is or Indiana is. I've seen Indiana firsthand playing Oregon. They're pretty darn good. So if Ohio State's able to beat them, well, then, of course, they deserve that number 1 spot.
That spread for the Michigan-Ohio State game last year was 19.5, and they lost it at home. So anything can happen this weekend. Here are my projected college football playoff rankings. 25, SMU, 24, North Texas, 23, Arizona State, 22, Georgia Tech, and 21, Pittsburgh. They've started revealing. Producer Jack's going to get to those in just a second. Make sure you stick with us. Stay patient with us. We're trying to get you guys those as quickly as we can, and we got them. Right here, our newest college football playoff rankings, 25-21, Arizona, Tulane, Georgia, Pittsburgh, SMU all the way up to 21.
That's a big jump.
Biggest surprise, not ranked to 21. Do you think it's the ponies right there?
I think some of this has to do with the ACC tiebreakers.
Yes.
And from my understanding, SMU has one of the clearer paths to that ACC conference championship game. I do believe that sometimes it's best to have your conference champions ranking higher and higher, especially when they make the playoff.
Let's just be real. Let's call a spade a spade. The ACC is a mess.
Yes.
It is. You kind of see some of those scenarios coming down to the end of the year. It just makes you want to throw up everywhere. But, hey, that's what makes this sport fun. That's what makes this sport great. And the SMU Ponies, they really do have a chance to make that ACC championship game. Arizona State came in at number 20, moving up a ton of spots from, I believe, 25 last season, 5 spots.
Wow.
Tennessee up 1 after beating Florida in the Swamp at 19. You find Virginia at 18. USC, they only dropped 2 spots after losing to Oregon. Of course, Texas moves up to number 16.
I love what the committee has done here. You move Texas up into that 16 spot, so if they do beat A&M, now there's a precedent. Look at how we can move them up. And guess who's number 15? Well, it's the Michigan Wolverines. Sorry to spoil it, but again, why are they there? Because if they have a victory, it's a lot easier to move a team into the playoff from 16 and 15 than it would be from, like, say, a 17 or an 18.
Yeah, all eyes are going to be on Texas A&M this weekend. Of course, that game's going to be Friday night, as it always should be. That should be the Black Friday Night game forever. And I get I'm a little bit biased growing up in the great state of Texas. A&M, Texas, that game was always massive everywhere. And, of course, it's not going to change anytime soon. You spoiled it. Michigan in at number 15. Wolverines will host Ohio State in the game this weekend. Of course, that game is going to be in Ann Arbor. They move up 3 spots. Vanderbilt, they move up 0 spots. They're number 14. We talked a little bit about Vandy earlier. They're going on the road, Neyland Stadium, to Tennessee. They have a chance to win that football game, get a good win on their resume, because right now they don't necessarily have any.
Yes, but I do think if you are a Vanderbilt fan, this is a worst-case scenario. One, because if either Texas or Michigan wins, they are going to jump you.
Yes.
But the fact that they don't continue to move you up tells me that Vanderbilt, they are not going to get into the college football playoff without a lot of help in front of them.
Yeah, they need some people to lose some games. Of course, they control their own fate in the hands of go out and win football games. That's
Right.
going to be best for your football team. But they're going to need some teams ahead of them and above them to lose. Utah goes down 1 spot from 12 to 13. Miami going up to number 12. Feels like that's the college football playoff saying, hey, we know they can't make the conference championship, but they could get in as an at-large.
And I think it's because of where Notre Dame was at. You had Notre Dame up so high, and then you had the remembrance of, oh, yeah, they beat the Miami team. Because Miami really hasn't won any games, in my eyes, that should make them continue to move up and up and up and up. But because Notre Dame feels like a playoff team and Miami beat that playoff team, they have to move them up. Remember, the committee can't have games not matter. And if Notre Dame gets in with 2 losses, but Miami doesn't with 2 losses, then the games don't matter.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in for the playoff committee, especially when that game was played in week 1.
Right.
When everybody is a vastly different team than they are right now. I mean, look at Alabama. They lost to Florida State. Florida State looked like world beaters. Alabama looked like University of Louisiana Monroe. Like, it was just, we're in a different world right now than we were in the beginning of September. BYU, they don't move at all. They are at number 11. Of course, BYU got that head-to-head win over Utah. So, of course, they're going to be above Utah for the rest as we move on, unless they lose this upcoming weekend. Right now, it's seeming like they're going to be in that championship game for the Big 12 in Arlington, Texas. Doesn't feel like they've got that big of a chance because last time Texas Tech and BYU played, Tech dominated it.
Yeah, I think that at this point it does feel like BYU will not get things to go their way. But definitely subscribe to the channel.
Exactly. We're heading into the top 10. Make sure you guys hit that sub button. And when you do, we'll give you 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, so on and so forth. Starting off with Alabama and Notre Dame. A couple of blue bloods starting this top 10. But, Will, you and I talked earlier, these are 2 teams that we believe could make a lot of noise if they go in there and get in the college football playoff.
And at this point, it really just is a chip in a chair. And what that means is just get into the dance and then see what kind of noise you can make. Marcus Freeman, the head coach at Notre Dame, has already got to a college football championship game, and so has Kalen DeBoer. So you have 2 coaches who know how to win in programs that they have helped build to what they are now. Oh, by the way, Kalen DeBoer has maybe the best quarterback in college football. This could be a special run. They just got to get there.
Exactly. 2 coaches that know how to win. 2 rosters with unbelievable talent, just given what they do in recruiting year in and year out, given what they do in the transfer portal year in and year out. And, of course, Cameron Carr and Ty Simpson, 2 really, really solid quarterbacks in this sport. Number 8, Oklahoma. There we find the Sooners. And it seems like we all can just be under the assumption they're never going to win a pretty game for the rest of this year.
Nope.
Every single win that they're going to get is going to look ugly. It's going to be grimy. It's going to be gross. But they're going to just win football games.
Yep, well, it kind of fits what their head coach wants to do. He wants to play smash you in the mouth defense, built on that defensive line, get after the quarterback, and then in true defensive coordinator fashion, he's going to have an offense that doesn't really move the football all that much, but doesn't turn the ball over, giving you an opportunity to win constantly.
Yeah, the funny thing about Oklahoma is they started off this year, they could not turn the football over to save their lives. Going into their game against Tennessee, they forced 4 turnovers on the season.
Yep.
Then went back-to-back games of at Tennessee, at Alabama. They forced 3 in each, 6 over a 2-game span. Ole Miss and Oregon come in at 7 and 6. So Ole Miss on their bye week, they drop one. Oregon's win, kind of like you thought, vaults them up to 6 over the Trojans.
Yeah, and I think it should. Don't be surprised either, depending on how this UW game goes for Oregon, if Oregon bounces up into that 5 spot the next week. Now, just remember, though, that Texas Tech will obviously have another game, presumably against BYU, in the conference championship game that Oregon won't have. Don't be shocked if they then switch back. You might see a little bit of flipping and flopping at that 5 and 6
Yeah,
spot.
Oregon might find themselves in the best spot of
Agreed.
not having to play another conference championship game. That just means more rest, able to maybe get that 5 seed home matchup, and then, of course, a chance to play a team that you feel like you're a lot better in. 5, Texas Tech. 4, Georgia. Feels like both of these teams, elite talent, good head coaches. Obviously, Kirby Smart is Kirby Smart. I don't think either of us would be surprised if both those teams make some noise in the college football playoff.
Yes, but at the same time, I don't know that Texas Tech can win the national championship. And I only kind of feel like Georgia could because of Kirby Smart. I don't know that they have the offenses to get the job done.
Their defense, though, has
Very
taken a
good.
massive shift from where
Very
they were
good.
earlier in the season. I mean, think about it. They let up 43 points to Tennessee in week 3. They wouldn't do that right now. They've really come a long way. Glenn Schumann, of course, the defensive coordinator in Athens. 3-2-1, the same 3-2-1 as we've had for the entirety of this college football playoff ranking. A&M, Indiana, Ohio State. Of course, A&M got that big matchup against Texas this weekend. Indiana will be taking on Purdue. You got to think they're not going to move at all. And then Ohio State taking on Michigan on the road. If they win that one, obviously that's going to seal an undefeated season for them and put a big target on their back going into conference championship weekend. Here's how the bracket would shake out if it started right now. If the season ended today, here are your matchups. You got Ole Miss on the road, Alabama on the road to Ole Miss, Miami on the road to Oregon, Tulane on the road to Texas Tech, and then Notre Dame on the road to Oklahoma. And, of course, 1, 2, 3, and 4 going to Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, and Georgia. They've got bye weeks. Which of those matchups, Will, would be your most exciting?
Oh, it's Oregon, Miami. That's a big, sexy matchup. You're telling me Mario Cristobal is coming back to Autzen, to Eugene, a place where he helped kind of revamp the program after everything that Willie Taggart had done, and now Lanning has taken it to the next level. You would see a lot of Oregon faithful be upset with Miami, with Mario Cristobal being there, but you can also have the argument that Miami would be back. The other matchup that I think would be kind of the 1B to the 1A, that would be Ole Miss versus Alabama. Getting to see Lane Kiffin and all of the shenanigans that he has going back to Tuscaloosa, the place that revitalized and revamped his coaching career. Oh boy, cinema.
If Lane Kiffin is coaching in that game, that is still
Fair.
the question.
Touché.
Only thing that would make it better if Nick Saban's back in that seat. You know, those two facing off against each other a couple years ago. Lane Kiffin saying, "Get your popcorn ready," and then Alabama went on to beat Ole Miss by like 2 touchdowns.
BTA.
So that would be a really, really fun one. Of course, that one would be in Ole Miss. Grade the rankings for me: A, B, C, D, or F. It feels like this year's college football playoff committee is dialed. Like, I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Feels
No
pretty good.
glaze here. I feel like these are some pretty solid rankings. I don't have a ton of pushback on this. I would probably give it an A-.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty high B+ for me. There's always going to be arguments made for certain teams, like especially right now, Miami's not going to be the ACC champ, yet they're the ACC team in there. So if you're going to weasel Miami into the playoff, that means that one of the teams that are already there has to get pushed out, and one of those teams would not be Tulane. So it does feel like if they are going to find a way to get Miami in, then you'd have to like kind of force an Alabama, or maybe you keep pushing Notre Dame back until you force Notre Dame out, which that would frustrate me because I think Notre Dame and Alabama are two of the better teams. But right now, with what you have dealt in front of you, I do think it's a pretty darn good rank.
I'm not going to lie, guys. Miami, I said it probably about a month and a half ago before they started, just losing a ton of games.
Yeah.
Miami, talent-wise, is one of the best teams in the country.
Welcome to
I
Mario.
think their biggest, downfall, frankly, is their coaching, is their head coach.
Mario.
But they've got a ton of really good players. It's Mario Cristobal, and it's if Carson Beck decides to turn the football over 12 times a game. But if he can keep the football to him, they've got elite weapons. They're unbelievable on the line of scrimmage, both sides of the football. Malachi Toney is a special player. They're a team that I believe could truly truly make some noise. Of course, first team out, you would see it right there. BYU would not make it in this instant, even though they are number 11. And then Utah, of course, in there at number 13. We got Honor giving them a C, Abraham A, Noah B-, Junior Strada A, James B, Eric giving them an O, even though that's not an option. That means I think he thinks they're
He's just an
very
Oregon fan.
bad. Mike says time to grade you guys. All right, Mike.
Uh-oh.
We're waiting on pins and needles, as we always are.
What about needles and pins?
Richard Western saying, how much the SEC pay this year for the rankings? 20
he's saying
to
that's the
30
rankings.
mil. I feel like the rankings weren't crazy SEC biased. Do you? I get it. I'm an SEC guy, but do you feel that way?
No, I think the SEC top to bottom is the deepest conference and the best conference. I think, though, the best teams at the top end are coming out of the Big Ten, so there should be more SEC teams in. I think it's easy for most people to go in and say, well, hey, there's an SEC bias because there's more SEC teams in. This year, I think they're also easily the most deserving.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, Jack, can you pull up that list 5 all the way at the bottom of bubble games to watch this weekend?
Ooh,
If you don't mind, that would be awesome.
Yes.
We've got some awesome games coming up. Of course, a lot that we've already talked about. We're going to show you 5 that if you are a college football fan, you need to be absolutely dialed in on.
Have to be.
I'm excited. I'm going to be in Knoxville, Tennessee, cheering on my Tennessee Volunteers. But it's like a double-edged sword because there's part of me that's like, man, I'm going to be missing out on some good college football on Saturday. But there's great games on Friday as well. A&M Texas, I think, is the number 1 game to keep an eye out on. OSU, Michigan, Miami, Pitt, Vandy, Tennessee, and then, of course, Bama at Auburn. Which of these 5 games do you believe is most likely for there to be an upset?
So I'm going to answer your question, and then I have one more to
Great.
add.
Please do. Please do.
Apparently, we've got 2 to add. So I'm going to add one here in just a moment. I think the one that you could see the upset potentially happening, and I don't know if it would be an upset in your eyes, it's your Tennessee Volunteers.
Yep.
When you look at it from a talent profile, the Volunteers have the better talent profile.
They're the favorite.
And most of the teams that Vanderbilt has come across have a better talent profile than they do. They just get the most out of their players. But when you're telling a Volunteers team that, hey, you're not going to make the playoff, and all they have to focus on is ruining the Commodores' chance at getting there for the first time in what would be program history, at least in the current playoff
First
situation.
10-win season ever.
Right. You can ruin that as well. I think you're going to get the best output from Tennessee. You're going to get the best output from the fans. And so that's, to me, where you would get the upset happening, even though I don't think it's as big of an upset as it would be for some of the other teams on this list to win. The other game I would like to throw in.
Okay. Wait, can I go on Tennessee real quick?
Go
and then
for
you
it and then come back.
Obviously, I'm a little bit biased being a Tennessee alum myself and the host of the Tennessee Football Talk. Make sure you subscribe to the channel.
I did.
But, like, I look at that football game, and I think the Florida game this last weekend told me a lot. Tennessee, no more chances at a college football playoff spot. They go into Gainesville, and they're up 31-0 at halftime.
Yep.
That looked like a motivated team with technically, people are telling me, nothing to play for.
Agreed.
So I've got a lot of hope and a lot of, confidence that they're going to go into that game. Hearing everything Diego Pavia said about Vanderbilt running the state of Tennessee, said about Tennessee easily being able to be beaten by Vanderbilt this year, they heard all that in the offseason. It wasn't just the fans that heard that. They're going to be so motivated to go in there, kick Vanderbilt's ass. They'll have Neyland Stadium behind them. I like Tennessee winning that game as well. You said you had one game to add here. What is that?
Got to throw in Oregon and UW. The battle for the Northwest is a fantastic rivalry that I don't think enough people give enough credit to, because for so long it was the Apple Cup and the Civil War that were the last games of the year. But Oregon and Washington, they absolutely hate each other, and it's a similar aspect for that Washington team, just like Tennessee, where supposedly they have nothing to play for, but if they beat Oregon, there's the potential, and I think it's a pretty strong potential, that they could keep Oregon out of the college football playoff. A 2-loss Oregon team does not necessarily get in.
It's not a slam dunk.
It is a game that is in Husky Stadium, a place that Dan
Hard to
Lanning
play.
has not won at yet, right? Get the sailgating going. It is one of the larger stadiums in the Northwest. In fact, it is bigger than Autzen Stadium. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rocking.
Real quick,
that
Jack.
is a game to definitely check out.
You mentioned sailgating. Trivia question for you. What 3 college football stadiums are on bodies of water? There's 3.
The UW Stadium, which is beautiful.
It's one of them.
And frankly, according to your trivia question, I think that that's the only one that matters.
Okay, well, that's not the only answer. That is one of the answers.
Is Tennessee going to be on
Tennessee is on the
How did I
Tennessee
know?
River.
How
There is
did I know?
one more team. Hint, it's in the Big 12. Gage, you look like you know it. It's Baylor. They're on the Brazos. Those are the 3 teams. All do sailgating. All know how to do it well. There's nothing better than college football
Baylor's
stadiums
gross.
on bodies of water. It's beautiful, meets beautiful. Jack, I saw you turn up your microphone.
So, and look, it'll be biased, but it is what it is. Arizona State is a great matchup.
Yeah.
Top 20 matchup.
Sneaky.
It is, but it has no bubble implications.
No, but there is.
Okay.
If Arizona State wins and Texas Tech loses, Arizona State's in the Big 12 championship.
It's fair.
So maybe not implications for the playoff, because
Yes.
I don't think a 3-loss Arizona State team, even if they win the Big 12, is going to make. Well, wait.
They
Conference-
will.
They
Yeah,
will.
they will.
They have
Okay,
to
so
'cause
there
they'd
is
be a conference
there is
champion.
bubble implications.
Potentially.
Yeah.
If Arizona State wins, they beat Arizona, which they will. If my dad's watching, they will. They suck. Arizona sucks. And Texas Tech loses, Arizona State's in the Big 12 championship for the back-to-back years.
Texas Tech playing West Virginia this weekend. They are on the road, though. But if you look at the spread, it does not seem like they are the road team. I believe they're favored somewhere around 28.5 points, something crazy like that. We're about to get on out of here, but we got to run you through the college football playoff rankings before we do. Arizona, Tulane, Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, SMU. That's 25 through 21. Let's dip inside the top 20. You'll find Arizona State, Tennessee, Virginia, USC, Texas. Inside the top 15, we find the Big Ten team that has a chance to get a big win this weekend in Michigan. Then you go to Vanderbilt, Utah, Miami, BYU. Top 10 starts with Alabama. Then it goes to Notre Dame, Oklahoma. Ole Miss, who dropped back a spot on their bye week because Oregon got the big win over USC, goes up to number 6. The top 5 unchanged. Texas Tech, Georgia, A&M, Indiana, and Ohio State. Whew, we appreciate everybody who's been with us all night long. It's been a lot of fun. We had to kill a lot of time, but we're never killing time. We're talking college football. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button on your way out of here. We're 10 away from 422,850 subscribers. That'll get us 150 away to our next big milestone of 423K. Really, really can't wait to be back here next week. We have one more week of these.
Yep.
And then it's going to be the final ones on
the real
Sunday
thing.
after college football conference championship weekend. We got a lot to talk about over the next week or so. We got a lot of really good games to watch. This is why the sport's the best. It's a soap opera, 24/7, 365. He is Will Ortner. My name is Joey Peterson. Shout out to producer Jack on the ones and twos. Shout out to Gage Kilborn shadowing tonight. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. We'll be back again here on the channel Tuesday night, college football playoff rankings. Again, we'll have a video out for you tomorrow morning. Make sure you subscribe. Don't miss a moment. And with that, you guys have a wonderful day and a great Thanksgiving week.